Hello and welcome to No Particular Order, Mana Biscuit's weekly top 5 list show. This week we're going into our top 5 sci-fi and fantasy film soundtracks in no particular order. All right, so I'm here with TJ Rathburn and Jacob Gamble. I'm RJ Velosky. We got our lists here and ready to go. We're going to start with TJ. TJ, in no particular order, what are your top 5 sci-fi and fantasy film soundtracks?
All right. Firstly, Cowboy Bebop. The film soundtrack is excellent. I dare say that the television show soundtrack was better, but anything with the seatbelts is awesome. Just excellent. Second, Jurassic Park, because it's just so iconic. It's one of those things, everybody knows it. It's lovely, it's beautiful, it's evocative. It doesn't need any other reasons to be on the list. Next, Terminator. Both because of how fantastic the initial themes were in the first movie, and also how they managed to revamp it and rework it over the course of many more movies and keep it fresh and still have the same core to it. Next is Alien, just simply because of how cold and alien sounding it was. It's perfectly apropos for the film that it's in. And finally, simply because I love Danny Elfman so much, and it somewhat fits in the guidelines, The Nightmare Before Christmas, because Danny Elfman is the best, and I'd have done an Oingo Boingo thing if I could have. So that right there, that is my top 5. And no.
All right, so recap again. That was
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
Terminator.
Terminator.
Alien.
Alien.
Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop. I think it's time we blow this scene.
And The Nightmare Before Christmas.
All right, excellent, excellent. And next up, Jay, what is your top 5 in no particular order?
I did everything I could to stay away from those kind of iconic ones, the things where you just know the sound the second it starts playing, and went with some of the stuff that's a little more quote unquote obscure, despite the fact that they're still huge.
All right, hipster, just get on with your list.
Yep. All right, first on my list is The Hobbit: Desolation of Smaug. More recent, well, there's one more recent than that on my list, but Ed Sheeran, and the music is outstanding. Love it. Mad Max Fury Road. This hit me out of nowhere as I was trying to go through this list, seeing what I wanted to add to it, and this was an amazingly good soundtrack. It took me to the scenes in the movie that I thoroughly enjoyed. Next up is my Danny Elfman tribute, which is Beetlejuice off of the laundry list of things that I could have picked from. That one's probably as close to an iconic sound as I have on here. Third, pardon me, is Queen of the Damned. Again, amazingly good soundtrack. And last up is Gladiator. That one takes me back to Molten Core rating and a great time that it was.
Gladiator,
so,
we're gonna let that slide. I mean, that's historical fiction.
It's still fiction, and
I'll allow it.
All right. I mean, it's not exactly a high fidelity depiction of history. But I don't know if it's quite fantasy, but that's all right. We'll let it slide.
I'm going to go with its fantasy.
Nobody did it's Knight's Tale or anything like that.
Well, it's funny you mention that because
although I did think of that.
It's funny you mention that because I do have to come up with a new one because you took Jurassic Park.
Oh
no, not really, but I should have.
Oh no! I totally remember what my one was that I forgot earlier, and I replaced it. It's okay. No big deal.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So for me, number 1, no surprise at all, Star Trek: The Motion Picture. It was the first time Jerry Goldsmith was able to do the music for Star Trek. He was originally supposed to do the original series, but scheduling conflicts led to him not being able to. He eventually took over the movies, and then the later incarnations, and the iconic theme that you heard in Next Generation had its birth in the motion picture soundtrack. Secondly, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Not just because of the Thus Spoke Zarathustra and the Blue Danube Waltz, those are obviously iconic scenes, but they did some fantastic soundtrack work with the final scene when he's going through the wormhole and ends up in the weird little bathroom in space. Number 3 was going to be Jurassic Park for me, but instead I'm going to pull a last minute replacement, and I'm going to go with Into the Woods. Yeah,
okay.
A really good. It's a musical all the way, and it's also steeped in totally fantasy.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep. And but yeah, I mean, I left the theater singing the soundtrack. I mean, what else do you want? Okay, so
I went into the theater singing the
I was going to say, same here.
okay, and then I also have on my list from the 80s, not necessarily a great soundtrack, but definitely one that's iconic and that I'll never forget. And even though I don't necessarily get like musical chills, it always brings back great memories. And that's The Never Ending Story. Okay. And then lastly, from that same era, and because it's David Bowie, how could it not be? That would be Labyrinth.
Now, that's brilliant. I noticed that, well, this is probably because of the fact that we had a limited number of things to pick from, but I liked how we all had thoughts that other people had ended up putting on their list. I was really tempted to put like Flash Gordon and Highlander and like everything with Queen on it, and just have a list of stuff that was
Highlander. That Highlander was not on any of our lists is probably a little bit of an oversight.
That was the number 5 that I freaked out about because I totally forgot about and had to replace it just before the show.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Highlander.
Okay. So there we go. Those are our top 5. What do you think if we were going to make a top 5 of our top 5s? We've already talked a little bit about the oversight, but I'm thinking I would pull from TJ's list. I definitely have to pull Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, that.
From Jay's list, definitely not Gladiator.
It was so good.
No, it was a good. It was a good soundtrack. I just don't know if it fits the.
Well, he is the only one of us. He is the only one of us that went with a Lord of the Rings bit.
Yeah.
So we should probably pull that and we didn't mention it at the top of the episode. But these are all we had Star Wars like disallowed. You could not have Star Wars. You could not.
Yeah.
Which is why it didn't show up on any of our lists, and so please do not pillory us. We're not monsters.
It was just too on the nose.
So I think I would pull from Jay's list probably
Lord of the Rings,
the Desolation of Smaug.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings franchise or Desolation of Smaug. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So
Star Trek from you. Star Trek.
Definitely the most iconic. I think most long lasting. I'm gonna go with for the remainders. I'm gonna say Nightmare Before Christmas, and one more from this list to round it out. I'm gonna say 2001. I think is probably the most iconic.
I'm gonna veto that. I'm gonna pull Labyrinth.
Labyrinth.
You remind me of the babe.
All right, so that's our top 5 individual and our top 5 of our top 5s. You can't get many more top 5s than that in this amount of time, and that's what we're going to be bringing to you on a weekly basis. Stay tuned for our next episode where our list will be top 5 reasons Jay thinks Gladiator is a sci-fi or fantasy movie. You're right. Okay, we'll see you again next week for another episode in no particular order. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.